Okay everyone, so I don't actually know where I last stopped with this like qualification vlog thing, but where I'm going to start today is that they have literally just released the email of which practice areas are hiring in my firm. And I also actually, funny enough, received an email from a recruiter of a practice area that I'm actually interested in another firm as well. Because one thing for me, I've kind of just been like, I don't want to look externally unless I'm looking at somewhere that I genuinely want to qualify into. So I'm not necessarily that pressed about just having a job for the sake of having a job. And I think that's quite important because obviously we're going into a recession and things like that. And I know for some people, job stability is maybe the more important thing. For me, I'm quite blessed and fortunate in that I've kind of set myself up such that I don't need to rush into getting a job if I don't want it. So I'm trying to make sure I'm just going to places that I actually want to be in. So I haven't necessarily been taking that many like recruiters calls or things like that if they haven't been saying things that are of interest to me. But a recruiter did mention a particular practice area that I'm interested in, so I'm going to kind of follow down that path as well. But all of the practice areas that I want to apply to, so that being both capital markets and private equity, are hiring. So I need to now fix up my CV. Like, the procrastination is enough. It's actually time for me to fix it up. So I'm going to try and do that today. And yeah, I've got a week to submit it. I thankfully don't have any like interviews or anything to do internally, which is great. And I have already spoken to people in both of those teams about like, you know, what they're kind of looking for in terms of skills of their NQs and stuff like that, so that I can evidence those skills in my CV. Obviously, I've done 6 months in both of those seats, so they know me anyway. But you know, both of those 6 months, they were my second and third seat respectively, so they were a while ago now. I do obviously need to remind people of what I have gained in terms of my skills and things like that. So I just want to draw that out in my CV. But I'm going to work on that today and show you bits of it as well so that you can see what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm really excited now. Guess who's just submitted her options? Okay, so this is just my internal submission. I still haven't done my external one yet. Whatever. Do you know what? One thing at a time. I have decided to apply for both capital markets and private equity. I won't say in what order. Well, it doesn't actually really matter what order. Those are the two teams I've decided to apply for. So I actually wanted to talk through my CV, like I mentioned. So what I did was I took my existing CV. My existing CV, the last time I updated it was actually fairly recently. Actually, I was going to say I haven't updated it since I started my TT, but I have. That's a lie. I updated my CV back in July because I applied for this grant. This was for something separate that I do for dossier, but I applied for this grant and they needed my updated CV, so I updated it. But it didn't have that much that I needed to put on it. Like, literally all I put on it was that I am a trainee solicitor, you know, at my firm. Everything else on there was like all current kind of thing. But I took that CV as my base, and then I basically just deleted all of the middle section, which was my work experience section, and then recreated that section but with just the 4 seats of my training contract. And the reason why I did that is A, because that was what was asked for, but B, because obviously now that I've done 2 years of legal experience, like if I'm applying for a qualified legal role, all I need to evidence is my legal experience. I don't really need the rest. So yeah, that's basically what I did with my CV, but let me show you what it kind of looks like. Okay, so I've got a very short personal profile, and then like I've said, like the main bulk of it is my legal experience, so all of my 4 seats. I do actually also have an additional experience section, so I've got like, you know, other presentations I did, I've got my pro bono work, I've got Success with Steph on there, and I've got dossier on there as well, and then I've got all my education underneath. Okay, so the previous structure that I had for my CV, I actually just decided randomly, I don't even know why, but I just decided randomly that I don't like that structure anymore. So I just literally went on Google and typed in Word CV templates, and then just used that to like create my new CV. So I literally have my personal profile section, and on that section, it was just a couple of lines. I really tailored this. So I had conversations, like I've been mentioning in this series of vlogs, but I had loads of conversations with like NQs, junior associates, senior associates, and also partners in the teams that I wanted to qualify in. And I literally just asked them, like, what skills did you see in me? And also what skills are you looking for in a excellent like NQ kind of thing? And based off of what they said, I wrote that down, gave it back to them. And this is advice that I give to people all the time. So like when I'm talking about legal applications and stuff like that, when people are applying for TCs, I always say, ask about the skills that they are looking for, and then evidence those skills in your CV, in your application, in your cover letter, etc. So I did the exact same thing here. These are the skills they said they wanted, so I wrote that in my personal profile, do you get what I mean? Then the legal career summary. So the way I did it was that there were 2 kind of considerations actually that I had. Because I've done 4 very transactional areas, so I've done debt finance, capital markets, project finance, and IPAF. No, that's a lie. Project finance is iPath. Private equity is the other one that I've done as well. A lot of the tasks have been fairly similar. So for example, corporate authorizations, I drafted corporate authorizations in my first seat, second seat, and third seat, and actually also fourth seat as well. So I've always done that in all of my 2 years, right? So that's something that I didn't write in all 4 sections because it just would have been a waste of space. So I've got stuff like corporate authorizations in, like, let's say the debt finance area, but then I don't have it in the other areas, that sort of thing. That was the first consideration I have. If it was a repeated task, then I didn't include it everywhere just for space. The other thing was the areas that I wanted to apply to. So remember I said I wanted to apply to both capital markets and private equity. Those take up the most space. So those are the biggest areas. I put the most evidence for those 2, because obviously those are the areas I want to apply for. I still have evidence for project finance and debt finance because I did still gain like relevant skills from those areas, especially for the areas that I want to qualify into. But given that I wanted to kind of focus more on capital markets and private equity, I just thought it would make more sense for those areas to be bigger. So that's why those areas are bigger. So yeah, that's kind of how that bit is structured. I don't have any other legal work experience. I don't have any of my previous VAC schemes on there. What other legal work experience did I put? Oh yeah, I did the early diversity internship thing as well. I don't have that on there now either. It's literally just all of my 4 training contract seats. Then I have an additional experience section, which is not split out in the same way that my work experience section is. It's just like a couple of bullet points. And in there, I've got like additional research things I did, pro bono things I did, success with Steph achievements and dossier achievements as well. And then I have my education right at the back. And this is something that I always do. I know a lot of people put their education at the front, but for me, I'm just like, I'm already in the job. So you already know that I have met the qualification criteria in terms of education. Like, you know, I've got the grades. And even if I don't have the grades because I have extenuating circumstances, like, you already know that, otherwise you wouldn't have hired me, kind of thing. So I'm just putting it at the back for your reference, if I'm being honest. But like, it's not the main focus right now. The main focus is my work experience. So I hope that helps people. But yeah, I'm super excited. Today is the 14th of November. I've now got a month. So we're supposed to find out on the 14th of December where we qualify into. Fingers crossed. Guys. The God that I serve, she's an ever faithful God. I would say that because I just got my qualification offer, and I'm not even going to drag it out for you. I'm going back to the capital markets team, and I'm going to be doing a bit of ESG work as well as my capital markets work as well, which really makes me happy because that's the kind of lawyer that I want to be. So I'm doing what I want to do, and it's a career milestone. I honestly don't even know what to say. I guess I can rewind it a little bit. So I think the last time I recorded this, like, I don't know, video diary, whatever, I spoke about the fact that I just submitted my application, and I submitted for 2 teams. So I submitted for both PE and capital markets. I did actually end up getting both offers, which again, actually, to be fair, is another milestone. I probably should have recorded that as well, but I didn't. It all happened like in a very short space of time. But I got both offers. Again, very proud of myself. I feel very like dazed. I don't know. I really just need to sit back and acknowledge this win, I guess. But yeah, I got both offers, which I'm really happy about. I had a really short time period to kind of decide what did I want to do. And ultimately in that moment, because I'd already gone through the whole process of, you know, my design, my lifestyle design, like questions to kind of ascertain that I wanted to go for either both PE or capital markets, it really just went down to 2 things, I guess. First of all, just gut instinct. So when I heard that I had capital markets, something in my head was kind of just like, accept it. So for me, I just wanted to listen to my gut voice. You know, I would like to think I've not let myself down so far. So I just wanted to believe in that. But the second thing as well, and this is just, I guess, an outcome of a lot of the conversations I had with people. So you might remember that one of the major things that I did in this qualification, sorry, I just look so dazed because I'm still like in shock. Anyway, one of the major things I did in this qualification process was just ask people about their journey, like ask them, why did you end up qualifying in PE, or why did you end up qualifying in capital markets or whatever. And through listening to some people's journeys, there were just some key things that I took away that I didn't actually realize I took away until it came to crunch time when I was picking between these 2 teams. And I think for me, one of the other reasons why I decided to go with capital markets, I guess on gut instinct, like I said, was just because sorry, I'm still in shock. With the whole ESG thing, because obviously it's a developing area of law. Obviously at my firm, like we do have lawyers there who work with ESG, and they do ESG stuff for clients and stuff like that. But it's generally, as an area of law, it's still quite new and developing. So I guess I kind of just wanted to be in an area that I would be able to grow in and develop in, as opposed to qualifying into an area that's already quite established. For me, I don't think there's anything wrong with people qualifying into areas like that, but for me personally, I just feel like it would be harder to, I guess, like stand out and establish my personal brand in an area that's already so established. I kind of wanted to do that in a new area. And I like innovation and stuff like that. And the other thing as well that also came to my mind was just, if I think back to one of the first videos I ever did when I started this channel, so this has got to be back in 2020 or something like that. I did a video about coaches and sponsors and mentors, and I spoke about the different stages in your career where you might need coaches and sponsors and mentors. And I think one of the factors that I probably didn't really realize was so important until that moment where I had to pick between the two teams was having a partner that you have a really good connection with and a really good kind of working relationship with, because A, they're going to be invested in your growth, which is obviously really important. B, they're going to give you, good work, which is obviously really important, but also just for your personal development and your peace of mind, you kind of want to know that you have that. And I think for me, when it came down to it, yes, I made loads of great connections in PE, and I will still, and I've actually spoken to all of them and kind of said, I'm still going to come and catch up with you guys for coffees. I'm still going to come and annoy you guys on your floor because they're on a different floor. So we're all still cool and everything. It's nothing like that. But I just personally felt like I had more of that opportunities for mentorship and sponsorship in capital markets than I did in PE. So yeah. Hello, beautiful people. So now that my whole kind of qualification thing is finalized, i.e. I know I'm going back to capital markets, one of the key, prerequisites of you being able to qualify is you actually completing your TC. So I thought it'd be really helpful for me to talk through what does that look like, what does that mean. So essentially there's just a whole bunch of things that the SRA requires you to do, and I'll pop up what the site looks like on the screen just so you can see. It's a public site, so anyone can go and look at it if they want to. But there's just a couple of pre-screening administrative processes that trainees have to do, and the SRA actually recently changed the way it works so that now trainees have to basically do the bulk of it themselves. Before your firm could do it on your behalf, but now you do it yourself. So essentially back in December, I'm now recording this in January, but back in December, I can't remember what date, the SRA sent me an email, and it was kind of just you need to activate your account. And aside from that, there's nothing else that I've had to do. So I'm now activating my account today. And then I think at the end of January or maybe the beginning of February, bearing in mind that I'm going to be qualifying at the end of February. So it's meant to be about 4 weeks before my training contract is supposed to end. I'm going to be sent another email from the SRA with more information in terms of what I need to do, any screening, any questions that I need to answer, all that kind of stuff, because obviously we're held to a high standard in the legal profession. So yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. Anyway, once all of that's done, i.e. once the SRA account is done, and once all of my kind of personal admin, so making sure all of my diary entries are up to date so that the training principal can sign off on that, then I have to do another DBS check. I feel like for this particular profession, there are so many DBS checks you have to do. When I first started, I did a DBS check. Obviously, I work with kids in my business, DBS check. Now I'm doing another DBS check. There's just so many DBS checks, but doing another DBS check. Then there's a fee that has to be paid, but obviously my firm will pay that because I'm staying on at my firm. And then admission gets granted, and then I apply for my practicing certificate, and then that's when you see that certificate that everybody posts when they've been admitted, that pink certificate where it says the SRA has admitted them to the role. So yeah, that is the process. Guys, okay, this is going to be a real quick closing video, but it's the 2nd of March 2023, and I'm officially a qualified solicitor in the senior high courts of England and Wales. Absolutely love that. So I just wanted to round this off by talking about costs, and I say this just so that you can be prepared when you're going through the process. 9 times out of 10, to the best of my knowledge and the people that I've checked in with, and the same thing is happening for me as well, but these costs typically do get reimbursed by your firm, so it's not necessarily something that's going to put you out of pocket for long. But even if it is being reimbursed, you are probably still going to have to, like, you know, pay for it and then submit receipts or whatever to get it reimbursed, right? So just be aware of how much things can cost. And for me, there were 3 main costs. So the first one was the DBS check. That cost me about £35, I think. Then it was the admission certificate. The admission certificate cost me about £100. And then the practicing certificate. So you need a practicing certificate in order to actually like work in whatever firm you're working in. That cost me £256. Now, on the practicing certificate, I will just say that it's calculated like you have to answer some questions basically, and then they calculate what your cost is. And you have to do that annually. So I don't necessarily know that it will be the same amount for you if you're watching this, but like just bear in mind roughly the kind of figures that you want to be budgeting. It's up to about £500 that you need to set aside to make sure that you kind of qualify, because without these documents you can't like legally practice as an associate, right? So just bear all of that in mind. But yeah, I am gonna wrap up this vlog here. Thank you so much again for following me throughout this journey. I hope you enjoyed this video diary. I hope it has been helpful for you and like enlightening or whatever. If you like this type of content, please make sure that you like, comment and subscribe. I cannot promise that you'll get it again because I don't know when I'll be going through some kind of qualification process again, but you know, it will encourage me to do some more videos or whatever. So this is